first of all, I will be going through the plugins that I use and some neat ways of how to use them, as well as some techniques, I guess, that I have discovered during my years or have been shown by other people. I won't really go super in depth with like building, at least not in this video. If there's like a demand for it, I guess I could technically maybe even do like requests, see what people want me to show them how to make. So if you're still watching, you can always leave a comment, I guess. I do read those. Obviously, it's not that I get a lot of them. Hey! But, yeah. Leave a comment if there's anything particular you want me to show you how to make. And I will pick something for my next video, whenever that ends up being made. So, the first plugin that I will be going through is Studio Build Suite, which is this plugin here. It's really handy. It was made by Fractality. So you do have hotkeys for this thing as well, which I am not that good to remember in my head at least. And there we go. So my future self will edit in the hotkeys, I guess. Awesome. Thank you, me in the future. Good job. So we go through what they do, each by every single one of them. Move axis, really easy. It just goes on the global axis. The same one that I have down here in the bottom left corner. If you don't know how to activate this thing, you can go to view and then display axis. And that will actually be very helpful when trying to position objects in the future for you. But yeah, move axis, it's just a simple, it moves on the grid of the global. Even if I were to, for example, rotate it, you will still have the same. Move object, on the other hand, is different. As to be expected, it moves based on the object's axis. So it moves here. Now if I were to duplicate this thing using Control D and then rotate it and then selecting this other part, if I still have move object, then you'll see that they will separate and just move further away from each other. And that's because it will still be moving along the same phase as, well, you get it. It follows the same phase as on the other part, just this one's rotated. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Everyone knows it. The next tool will be move first, and this one has a little secret to it, which is really handy to have. So it will move based on the last selected object. So if I deselect it and I select it again, now this is the axis that it will be following. However, if I middle mouse button click, then I will select this part here instead. This plugin will be getting custom hotkeys in the future. When I can't predict the future, it really comes down to Fractality, but as of right now, this thing does not have custom hotkeys yet, at least. He's promised us this for a long time now, so it will happen soon enough, I hope. So you move it around like this, really neat stuff. I was like, oh, I want that instead. Then you move it around instead, like that. Easy stuff. Let's just go back. Oh, I accidentally poked my glasses. Oh, that's awful. Oh no. Let me just fix my glasses again. Alright then. Good. Right, okay, now I'm back. Slight technical error there. Rotate pivot. As to be expected, it rotates it based on the pivot. If I were to, if I duplicate it, I select two of them, it will go around the last selected object. Just the same thing, just like the way move first worked. rotate group. Just takes the entire group and just rotates it. Simple stuff. Rotate object. As to be expected, it rotates the object on its own axis. Just the way how move first had a special hidden thing. Rotate pivot does have the same. So you can choose with the same key, middle mouse button, and then just rotate it based around those. Now we're getting into recess objects. I don't think I really have to cover this much. It is the same thing. It says object on all of these. It's not that difficult. However, resize center will take the value that you have here and add it on each side. So if we go down here, we'll see that the size is currently 2 by 1 by 8. If I decrease it by 1, it will decrease it by 2 here. So it's down to 6, 8 again, 12, 20, and so on. Also, here comes quite recent, well, I wouldn't say quite recent, it's a few months old, but it's quite handy at least. Resize world, and it will basically just how move first has a certain phase that when you scale it towards. If I do move for object here as an example here, and I move it, as you can tell, this one moves further away while this one moves in this direction. So if I were to, for example, place them like this, and then I select the rotate world, it doesn't actually... Wait, that was a really poorly explained. Resize object here, as you can tell, it scales away from it. But if I go down to resize world, it now ignores which face it is directed towards. So no matter how I have flipped these parts, I know that it will always be scaling towards this direction if I have resize world selected. Now, of course, we have scale. It takes the original, which would be 1. And then if you write 2 as an example, and then we hit scale, we get a new version of that part in a new group called scale model. Simply ungroup that thing, and as you can tell, it is twice the size. Then we have select edge, which does have the hotkey L. So if I move a part here as an example, move them up a little bit, and we can scale it in like that to make it easier to see. If I hold in Alt and middle mouse button click, then this little yellow select box will appear, and this will allow me to simply rotate it based on that edge. This is really handy if you're trying to create corners as an example, or you can always do the same thing when you want to make rings, or, you know, whatever. There's so many options you can use this thing for. We also have this thing here, which is one. I don't really know what I would even call this particular setting, but if I were to scale this thing to be 10, and I select this part here, and then I go select edge, as you can tell, this is in the perfect center right now. And it basically moves by 1 stud each. Now, if I were to, as an example, maybe make it 5, and then we'll only be able to do it, it will only be able to place the select box in the perfect center of this part, since it is 5 studs long. But personally, I don't really think that's... I guess there's some extreme cases when that would be useful, but personally, never really had much of a use for it. And then obviously one last... I think it's one last at least. Yeah, one last little handy tool to know about is that you can actually select the increments box by hitting tab. And if I write in, for example, 4, and now I move this by 4 studs. If I were to, for example, say I want it to be moved by 2 now instead, I can simply hit the 2 key on the keyboard. That's okay. And now it will move by 2. Although, actually, that was a really confusing way to put it. So let's just say I'm gonna hit 3 instead. The 3 key. The TH sound is awfully difficult for me as a Swedish guy to pronounce. So, and that will basically duplicate it by 2. If I hit 2, it will subdivide by 2, I believe you could call it. So if I hit 3 again, now it's up to 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. And it just keeps going back all the way down. And you can keep doing this for a very long time. But obviously when you're down to these increments, it's basically counted as if you have increments off. Like it doesn't actually go down to this nano millimeter scale. But hey, it's cool, right? Numbers. So normally I would work on 0.05 as a base, and then based on I would always just scale up, because this is the smallest value that Roblox Studio allows you to have a part. I remember that it used to be, this is just a fun fact thing, it's completely irrelevant to the tutorial, but there used to be a way where you could negate on a union to make it smaller than 0.05, so you could actually make it invisible, but the object would still exist in the workspace, which was a completely pointless thing to do, but it was kind of cool. The next plugin that we will be taking a look at would be Resize Align. So I'm just gonna move these parts here a little bit to make it more interesting. Let's make it 45 degrees, like that. So Resize Align, there it is. So this plugin here, which you can drag and drop as you like. We have Outer Touch, which is a really handy. This is pretty much the one you're gonna be using the most. So you select a face and it connects. It's just magic. It just works. You know, it's really handy. You have Inner Touch, which will connect the inner side, as you can tell. We have Half Touch, which will connect the center. I don't use this as often as I should, I think. Like, there are so many uses for this, but for some reason I don't even use it. Maybe I'm just weird, maybe I'm just stupid, I don't know. Probably both. So if we move this part, actually let's make a new one and we'll duplicate it. There you go. So we have butt joint, and that will connect them like this. And this way you don't actually get this pesky little C-fighting, as you can see here, because these parts are on the same y-axis. Whereas these just perfectly connect in a really nice manner. Oops, that one disappeared. Extend up to. See if I select here and then this side, it will now extend all the way up to this end, but it won't actually change anything on this part. So these two will only extend up to and extend into, will only affect the first object that you have. You can use these to make, like, if you know how to, you can make like really complicated stuff using this. But that's more like a trial and error, and trust me, you will get around to it, and you will figure out these amazing solutions to these problems, which everyone's gonna be like, wow, how do you do that? It's like, a magician never reveals his secrets. There you go, that's what I was looking for. But when you're actually, in fact, just using Resize Align, it's a magical tool. Then we have Gap Fill. This particular plugin, I don't really like it that much, because there are certain areas where it will create these super tiny wedge meshes, and that'll be really awkward to work with. But back in the day when these kind of things were made originally, they basically were made to 0.2 based studs. So before we ended up having 0.05 as the lowest possible part size, basically. So that's why a lot of these still use meshes. But if I select both of these sides, then it will create this part in between them. And that's definitely, it will definitely help save time if you just want to get a part in between these two. Although, obviously, as you can tell, this size is just completely wacko. Whereas these are a nice, well, not that one, but that one at least is a nice 10 stud value. If I remove this part again, I can select the plugin again. There is obviously one stud. There's only one stud here. Thinnest, which would be 0.05, but in this particular case, it is 0.2. You obviously have a negative as well. Normal would be so it would be leaning in towards the first part you have selected. I believe it's the first part at least. Let's try that. Normal. Right. Yeah, there we go. So it is leaning in towards that part. Maybe not even leaning, but it goes into the original part that you have selected. So if I were to select this part here as an example, it will move towards me. Negative will, as to be expected, just revert. Not revert, but it would do the complete opposite of what normal does. I mean, it's basic stuff. Resize, align, and gap fill are both really useful plugins. Like, there's so many uses for them. But when you start to have awkward angles like these, where you move it to the side a little bit, it's a different Y value, and also on the X value, we can simply just go in with normal, best guess, as you know, why not? And then select here. And this is like, oh, would you look at that? That's not bad at all, actually, because now you have two wedges and then one part in the middle, and there are no awkward like small meshes. However, now if we were to, as an example, gonna do something like this, which is a much smaller scale, and then we do, oops, like that. This is now really awkward. There we go. A one stud. Let's just make, we like round numbers around here, so make it 0.3 studs. Now we do select gap fill, and this will create, if I remove these parts here, oops, it looks as if you have actually filled it like properly. You can see it connects here perfectly. It connects really well up here. It must be perfect, right? Kind of no, both yes and no. This part here is the right size, but here you do have the problem. You have wedges that are using wedge. Well, you have parts. Well, you have wedges that use wedge meshes, which is a bit of an awkward thing really to work with. As you can tell, it has some really weird scales, and the hitbox itself is located in the center of the mesh. So if you're actually gonna try and use this for I would definitely say you want to avoid using this if you're working on small scale objects that are supposed to have accurate hitboxes. So yeah, just avoid using this plugin unless if you're working on small scales. Large scales, perfectly fine, doesn't really matter. Like this thing here. And we can even make it a little bit more spicy and just move it like that. Holy snap, will this work? Ta-da, it works. So I mean, it's a really handy plugin. Like it definitely speeds up the process. Wow, now I have talked for quite a long time about that particular plugin. So let's move on to the next one. So you can select all of these. You don't have to group them, but just, you know, I usually group things because it makes it easy to move things around. And if I accidentally deselect something, well, to reselect all of these parts individually, if I had a bunch of parts here, I would have to select these parts individually so I don't accidentally select the wrong parts. But here I can just drag and click. So we're going to be using, the next one would be Reflect. And this plugin here will create this transparent part, as you can see. And anywhere where I have my cursor, it will highlight this little part. And whatever surface I select, it will mirror it in that direction. So if I move down, you see that this is a perfect mirror of this. So if I were to, for example, take something a little bit more complicated, I just take these here. Actually, I don't even need to do that. I can just select the entire thing. There we go. Where are you? Go away. Oh yeah, perfect. And now we use the same plugin. It magically generates perfect replica, just that it's positioned in a different direction. Now, the thing about mirror tools, and then and also when it comes to using scale and related, normally, at least in the very beginning, you would have issues with unions not working properly. Especially, okay, here's the thing, it's impossible to mirror a union because a union does not work like a regular part. As an example, I can take this here. Let's make something that would be unique to this end. Like that. Let's just, for the sake of it, let's make that a cylinder. Wow, that'd be really weird to scale. Like that. Wow. What an amazing build, right? And now we group this thing here. Make it a union. And we can simply take a part here to use for the mirror plugin. I mean, Reflect. I always call it mirror. Most people call it a mirror plugin, but you know, it's apparently called Reflect for some reason. And then we go there. As you can tell, what it's done is to simply flip the union like that, because a union is like a special object, and you can't actually have it deconstruct the union and then reconstruct it again, but in an opposite way. Well, actually, I guess you could make a plugin that could do that. That would be really cool. But chances are that you would run into an absolute crap load of issues with that, like errors and telling you that it doesn't really work and that the union might be too complex and so on and on and on. So if you're ever gonna build anything that will require unions and it needs to be mirrored, I would definitely say that before you union things, make sure that you reflect it. And now you union both sides. Now this will create two different unions. And that means that it will require twice amount, like the double amount of data to store these things in memory. And not only if you're working on a low-end device game, such as a mobile support game, then obviously you want to avoid using a high amount of memory, because that will make the phone crash. So using meshes and mesh parts and unions and high resolution textures, really, like you want to avoid these things because everything like this is stored in memory, and that's a bad thing for low-end devices. But if you're making a PC game, who cares? Let's just make a million of these, and then just ungroup them again and group it again like that. I mean, union. Now we have 3 different ones. But yeah, I mean, you always want to keep in mind about performance when building things. Can you get away by maybe scaling a part in a certain direction so that you replace it? Actually, I can make an example, because this ended up being really confusing, even for myself. So there we go. Now you could technically do this, and from the bottom side you won't notice a difference. Like it looks like as if it's one part that goes all the way over, but we know as a developer and the person who built this thing is that it is not just one part moved over, and you could have just made one part here instead, like that, and that would have saved you one part. So always try and keep in mind that even if it just saves you one part or maybe 2 parts, and like as it keeps building on, eventually you might have saved 500, maybe you've saved 1,000, 2,000, and so on, if you're gonna be duplicating things. And also, it's a really good thing to keep in mind when you build things, because obviously performance issues is not a fun thing to have in games. You want your game to be successful, you want it to be fun, and that means, you know, lag should be kept to a minimum. Oh, I have a real dry throat for some reason. Might be because I almost burned down my kitchen. Let's go over some colors, actually. So how I built this particular house is that I use really bright colors for the roof. And I wanted the roof to have, I wanted the building in general to have a slight, the fall season. So I wanted it to have a slight in that direction. So a little bit forestry. I like that the roof has a bit of like a leaf type of a look to it almost, if you let your imagination fly and go crazy. Oh, sorry. So I also wanted it to have like decently, not really decent, but I would say relatively warm colors. So I decided to go with yellow, and then whatever you would call this, Kashmiri? I don't know. That's I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that word. But you see the color, you know the word I'm looking for. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And since light will be hitting it from the top, how you should think sometimes is that, how you should think is that light should be brighter at the top. At least that's usually how I do it. A lot of artists, when they draw characters, when they texture things, they use a gradient. They almost always have the color set to the brightest at the top, and then it works down into darker color. So I go with brighter, and then darker. It ended up being a little bit dark, but I kind of liked it actually, so I think I will keep this. And obviously a very dark in the bottom. And the same thing goes with the wood. You have bright, darker section here, still bright because obviously that's the structural color, and then dark at the bottom. I usually try to go with maybe 3 different colors. So in this case, on the planks, I have one dark here, I have one, this is a really bright one. Oops. Really bright one. This is the normal color, so just think that about as a neutral color, and then dark, neutral, bright. And from a distance, you will see that this adds to the shape. It doesn't look like a plain plank thing. Let's just take this color here, and then we simply select these parts here, like that, and we color. So we undo that. It gets a little bit more life. It looks a little bit more realistic because obviously wood is not the same color. It gets worn differently. It is a the stuttering though. It is exposed to elements differently. It might be that it, obviously this is complete overkill. But it's always good to think about these kind of things and plan them into your build. So even if this particular thing would be overkill, it's like, oh yeah, what if it's been raining more on this section here, and therefore this section would be this in this particular case everything's leaning in that direction, but if everything on the top of this line here, maybe that's darker because it has absorbed more moisture, or if you think that this side here might even be brighter because the sun has been on it for a much longer period than on the other side, because the sun will bleach things, especially wood. If you've ever, I'm sorry because I'm originally a construction worker, so these kind of things are just in my head more or less. But if you think about like a wooden floor, and if you then put a couch on it, and then you leave the couch for I don't even know how long, like years, as an example, and then you let the sun just shine into the room, you will notice that when you move the couch, the floor color will not be the same. There will be a slightly darker tone under the couch, and that's because that is the original color, but you haven't really noticed. Because obviously you've been in the house, so you haven't really noticed that the floor has been getting a little bit brighter. Well, that's a really overkill. I went from basic tutorial about like tools to colors and aging of wood and so on. Okay, I'm literally all over the place. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to like structure things up a little bit better with the editing. So I'm probably gonna add in like this particular thing starts at this particular moment. Yeah, oh my god. That's a really smart idea actually. Then I can literally go all over the place whenever I want. Kind of. So let's build a new house. So how I would be constructing actually, yeah, let's build a new house, because in that way I can start to describe how I would do how to create shapes using a simplistic design, basically to what I have done here. This build is not detailed at all. Like the most detailed thing about this would probably be the fact that these have some wooden sticky things going back and forth, whatever you would call that. And obviously the roof. Like the roof is pretty detailed, I guess. But in general, because it is such like the colors are basically not exactly the same, but they're very close. So you don't actually, from a distance, it just looks yellow. And that kind of adds to that the whole building looks relatively clean, but at the same time it has some stuff that makes it stick out. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if I go here, this is one part here, another part here, and another part there. And that is this section of the building, more or less. Oh, and 3 more down here, of course. The thing is, with this particular build, I guess, I wanted it to have a slightly... I kind of like it, actually, when you can see the sharp curve, like the sharp edge here. Because it does bring out the light, and it looks less detailed. It looks more cartoony, I guess, more unrealistic. I mean, not as if Roblox do look realistic. Let's be real here. It definitely doesn't, but yeah. Also, I didn't add any windows back here because the idea is that you will only see this side of the building. So let's start building. Also, one note before I start building. So the roof here. I start with the roof. Normally, if I am building a building that doesn't really have any exact size requirements, and also if the building itself, how would I put it? If the building doesn't have an interior, then obviously the underside doesn't really matter. The most important part will be the top 50% of the building. It's kind of usually how I think about it, because I like to make things a little bit more plain towards the bottom. So the top 50%, as you probably can tell here easily, the top 50% here, this is where the detail is. The rest, it just hangs on the other stuff, I guess, and then some colors to add and shapes to give out more of a natural look. So we're gonna select resize align. No, not resize align, I mean studio build suite. Okay, move it up like this. And we are going to select edge. Technically, you don't even have to select edge on this one. I won't make it as detailed as this. I will probably just try and make something quick, because I don't want to be here for hours and hours and hours recording a video, and then I'm gonna be forced to edit it like nothing you've ever seen before. So let's just take this part here, scale it down a little bit more, but I still want to keep it a relatively large size, because this is gonna be a main, like the main bulk of the side of the roof. So this thing here, and this needs to look as if it's a structurally robust, so that it isn't weak, because obviously if you have a weak roof, then well, it might start to rain in, I guess, one day. So I'll move it down a little bit more. Actually, I forgot about that. This one is 2 studs. Let's make this one the plane panel. It is 0.4. Let's make it 0.3. There we go. And also, just for the sake of it, I'll flip it around like that to make it easier, because now since I flipped this face that I have here is on this part, this face here. So if I scale them outwards using resize object, it will be scaling outwards, but now I want to move inwards. So I'm thinking that looks like a pretty good scale for me. What would that be? Ah, perfect. 1.4. And that means I actually, I think I will make it so that this side 1.4 is half the size of the length. So this is gonna be 2.8. And using the 2 and 3 key, I move between the values here really fast. Let's see here what we are on. 2.8, there we go. It's a relatively large size. So we'll just duplicate this thing. Simply hit twice. I'll get the full thing again. It's basically, if you've seen the other tutorial I did, this is basically the exact same thing. Move it down. Oops. Duplicate it using Control D. We select edge here. There we go. We do the same thing again. To just keep building that curve. Oops. There we go. Blue. That will have to. Will it have to do? Actually, I want to make it. I want to make this roof even more like sharp. So we'll add at the top instead. And that's one really steep roof. I'll make it. Wait, what happened? Oh, I don't have anything selected. Oh yeah, a fun little fact. It will keep the position of the select edge, even if you do deselect it, as you can tell. If I select this part here, I will still be moving along that axis. I mean the particular point. So does this? Can I see? Wait, did I just screw up? I can't see. No, I didn't. Okay. There we go. Alrighty. And what I would normally do, because as you can tell, these are some really small gaps to try and squeeze, resize a line in here, I'll have to get really close. But if I select these parts and then select center, I can just scale them down. And now it will be really easy to just select these faces here. Now, I guess you could technically just select edge here again and then flat it out like I did in the tutorial. And that's basically the simplest way to make the roof like this. Alright, there we go. It's done. Wow, it's really plain and boring. But I would say, you know what? Let's add something more to this. So we take this part here, we extrude 0.2 and move up a little bit. And now this will basically look like a reinforcement. So it will make the building look a little bit more tough. And we'll do the same thing with this part here. Make sure it's the same. Let's color things to make it a little bit difficult, a little easier to see what we're actually doing. Like that, we will. Oh, not you. We will make these. How about red? So we select this red, just to get up the first base color, I guess. We change it in here. I would say, actually, let's go down a bit more so we can get a slightly... Actually, I'm wearing my yellow glasses. No wonder why things look weird. It's the issue of having light-sensitive eyes is that I have these glasses that basically, they remove the UV light. So, UV? Whatever UV? It basically removes blue light, and that's kind of what messes up with my eyes. Let's take it down a little bit. Let's make it darker. I would say maybe something like that. So red is obviously a warm color. If we take this particular thing, well, I can't show everything. Okay, you know, I can do this. I can do this. I have some tabs not allowed to show you, which is a slight issue here. I can do this. Source, screen cap. I could technically have edited this in later. Why didn't I think about that? Okay, whatever. I guess technically I can have this thing up as I build. Like that. So what you see here is that we have a warmer color, whereas yellow is kind of cold, not really cold. It is in the direction of like down here, as you can tell, somewhere. And this is technically warm but slightly cold, which is how I was thinking when I'm going for fall. I'm not gonna lie to you, I am definitely not the best when it comes to colors and how to do these kind of things. I am usually just the kind of person who I will go with whatever I think looks good. But in this particular case, it's good to kind of at least think about that the colors have their own little meaning in a way. So we will hide that. There we go. Oops. Right. And we can to make things easy for ourselves, I will select these parts here. We're gonna make this one slightly smaller. I'm thinking like that. That will have to do. And now I can take this part here, Control D. Oops. And then we move it upwards. And now, because I want to mirror this side to this side, I need to get the perfect center of this part here. Now, the easiest way I would do it, rather than to sit down here and change the values and maybe move it in like this and hope I get the right thing, I will just simply select the size in the properties and select 2 by 2 by 2. Select select the resize and just make one stud by using tab to select. Did I even mention that before? I know I mentioned that you can change it, but I don't know if I mentioned that you hit tab. Oh crap. Oh well, whatever. If not, well, congratulations, you learn even more stuff already in this tutorial. Like that. No, that one as well. There we go. Now, since these parts are so large, I will simply have to scale them, not using that. Okay, no, we'll just do this because I'm lazy. There we go. Awesome. Now I can do that. And here we will be using resize align to connect these parts here. However, let's select a warm brown and take off my glasses for a moment again. And then this is almost technically orange, but we can't go down a little bit, something like that. Yeah, that'll have to do. Now, as you can tell here, we have a slight issue. This looks really weird, and we don't like this. So what we will do is to simply scale it upwards. And now we can, it will reveal these two, this little gap for us. So we can use gap fill. It's a really quick and easy way to do this. Now, the thing about gap fill is that it will not actually work with RGB colors. So as you can tell, here we have 1.35, 86, 46. And if you select this part here, it's a different one. And that's because it will average out towards the brick color, not the actual color value. And that's a bit of a pain. I will completely agree. I agree on that. But by simply Control V, Control C, Control V, you can fix that. I would like this part here, just like how I did over there. I would like it to lean in towards the build itself to give it a little bit more of a shape. So what we're gonna do is to duplicate these things, these parts here. We change the value to 0.1. And there we go. And now we're going to make it even smaller. Something like that, maybe. So I can remove that one. I'll need that. One down. Scale inwards. Resize a line, outer touch. Like that. And mirror. And then resize the line again. There we go. Now it's fixed. Now, since it's just one stud, you won't really see the difference that much. But I guess it's a cool thing. So we will select gap fill. Select this side, that side, this side, this side. And now obviously, I was a bit of a moron, so I'm just gonna do that. Let's see, gap fill again, the thinnest. Here we go. That's more like it. This one sticks out a tiny bit. Is that the top part? It must be the top part. No? Yeah, it is. So we can scale this thing back up. There we go. Now it doesn't actually overlap. Just select like this. Now, as you can tell, it does have these tiny little wedges, but since this is not important at all for hitboxes, you know, I don't care about that. It's only for looks. Looks is the only thing that matters right now. As you can tell, we have one large chunk here. Let's move back in. So now we have given the roof a slight support, well, reinforcement, I guess I would call it instead. And now we can simply just, actually, let's make that wood. And now, I guess someone would be like, whoa, no, the materials. Yeah, we can use material flip. Boop, 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 I mean. And then let's take up here as well. Boop, and... Am I blind? Nope, that's good. Yeah, you have sea fighting here. Wow, that's horrible, I guess. As you can tell, I didn't really care much about it up here either. Let's just take off these other parts here as well and give them a color. We can go in for a slightly why am I listed all over here? Yeah, this is kind of really just comes down to moving things back and forth until you get a color that you feel you like. Is this to be completely honest with you, I don't really like the colors I have chosen for this. Let's just remove this side for the, you know, to make it easier. I will make this wood as well. Glasses go away. Let's give it a slightly less. Yeah, we're just gonna work our way off this color here, pine cone. And we want to have a little bit of warm, so it has to have a slight bit of red in it. It's actually really dark. Man, I was gonna go on about like how colors are amazing and how amazing you can make things, but this is turning out really bad. Oh well. You know what? Even better. Well, we'll make it. We'll make the colors cold instead. Can make like a blue roof. That is a little bit too. You need something that's a little bit colder. That's pretty cold. There we go. Storm blue. Awesome. Let's take a look here. Now obviously these do not really match, so we have to make them. Wow, if you look at that, I call it a match straight away. We'll take this one here. Maybe we'll even make it metal. We take, not pine cone, but we can take like smoke gray as an example. Smoke gray is a pretty good color if you want to add a tiny bit of blue to it. Actually, this ended up being a little bit. See here. Now we add a tiny bit of green to it, which will basically make it colder. Because as I showed you on this thing here, green is cold. And it definitely gets a slightly colder look, as you can tell. So let's go with that. Remove that thing again. There we go. And now we select this here. So, just like I did on the other building, I'm gonna make the side here have a slight wedge on it. Because, well, I don't like it when it has this extremely sharp edge. It looks fragile, it looks weak and boring. You can't have it like that, it doesn't look good at all. So, we'll just simply do it like this. Take the color and make that wood. Now obviously, because this bothers me a lot, I will have to fix this. Oops, did not really want to work apparently. Oh, I need to do it from this angle. Really? Wait, am I blind? Which direction does the grain go? Huh. Okay, whatever. But I can fix these at least. This is the only ones you'll actually really see it. Anything else doesn't really matter. There we go. Awesome. Now we're gonna do these parts here. We'll simply select a few of them at random. Let's not select two of them at the same. Make it 1 degree and we flip them. Oops, it's the wrong tool. Rotate group. That's what I want to use. We'll make it a tiny bit like that. And then we're gonna select even more of them. Of the ones that we didn't flip. Like that one. And that one. Not that one, because that would create 3 in a row, and that's not something that I fancy. We can go for it. There we go. That looks too symmetrical. I don't like that. And we can do a tiny bit more than the other one. Now we can adjust them individually, because there's so few of them. So how I built this roof is that I built one section first. And I duplicated it over and over and over until I had it all the way. Since the colors are so random, you won't really see the pattern unless you really, look for it. In this case, this will also be a very small roof. I think this is just a white blend. Be a dollhouse or some weird thing like that. Let's see, like that. Because we don't want them to look as if they all just connect. Need to look a little bit random, like that. See here. Oh, did I not change any of the? I changed the top one apparently. Good going, me. Like that, and then that one's not enough. Wow, I don't like to do these rows apparently. Down a few tiny bit, up a little bit, and fix that one as well. And as you can tell already, if I look at it from this angle, they do have different shadows casted on them. So it already looks like as if some of them are different colors. Like this one here, as an example, it has a different color because of how the light is reflecting on it. Whereas these are much brighter, these are darker. So if we do select a couple of these, like this, that are random. Oh, that doesn't look random at all if I select them. Oh my god, I keep doing it again. Why am I doing this? Stop it. I don't want to. And that one. I will make these a little bit darker. Like, I would say, something like that. I don't know why this particular roof just reminded me of Age of Empires. Oh man, that was a game. That was a game. Oh. Wow, I feel really nostalgic right now just because of that. Huh. That's weird. Let's make it like that. Say something more in the center here. That looks... There we go. That'll have to do. And I will make these brighter. I would say like that. As you can tell, they already have a lot going for them. Now, if we simply just do resize object and then we move them down, I should have covered all gaps. If not, then you can simply do like I am right now and just go over the individual parts. Because I kind of want to keep the bottom row as a 0.3 studs. Also, we do have some gaps like this, and we can simply just resize center up like that. And that will connect everything again. Right, it's starting to take shape a tiny bit at least. We'll have to move this down a little bit, I would say. Maybe I'll make it a little bit longer. And then like that. Take this side here. And now we mirror it. And voila, we have almost one roof done. I can mirror the roof as well, because you won't actually look at the roof from the top in a way. Like if you look at it from the top, you'll definitely see it's like, wow, what a lazy person who didn't actually mirror it properly. What you can do, if this really bothers you that much, then you can, wait, let me see if, okay, so I need to, see if I were to take this part right now, I wouldn't get the center. So I need to make it 1.4 as well, because that is the size of this end here. There we go. Now it does have the right center. So what I can do is I select all of these. I should probably move the one in place. I Control D to duplicate. I rotate pivots, the middle part, move it around, and now it's perfectly positioned. Oh no, email not right now, not right now. Ah. Okay. Sorry about that. So now instead, I think that, because obviously, as I said before, no one will ever really notice this. But if it really does annoy you that much, I can show you how to fix it. So we simply take this part here, duplicate it, move it upwards, 2 by 2 by 2, and then make it resize one inwards. I would normally resize it outwards like this, because now I will know that this can't be the center of this, whereas this is. And if I, for example, have it like this, and we move further away, it will be even more difficult to see where it is. And if you work on even larger objects, obviously it will be far more difficult to actually spot where the center is. So just as a good habit, I usually do that. And now we take this part here, and then we mirror it. We can move it downwards so we can remove the original, and move it up again, like that. And now, as you will be able to tell, it is not mirrored anymore. It is mirrored, it's just mirrored again. Right, so now we have that thing here. We can technically move this up a little bit because it's starting to get in the way. I want to give the roof so it tilts backwards into the roof, because into the building, because right now it has a lot of curves to it, and everyone likes curves. Guys like curls, girls like curves. You like curves, I like curves, everyone likes curves. So we will take these two parts here. Actually, we will take all of them like that. Duplicate, resize object, because right now this is mirrored. You'll see that it will move in the opposite direction, which is good. This saves us time. So if we make it 0.1, 0.2, I mean. There we go. And we can move this inwards like this. We sub it up and down. Now obviously we have a slight problem here. There is a tiny gap. So resize align will be the plugin we will use for this. Outer touch, like that. Oops, I accidentally didn't fix that. Wait, I did. Oh, I see what's happening. Because I mirrored it, made the part rotated in the opposite direction as well. It's a bit awkward, but whatever. We'll take the color, and then you set the, actually we'll move this side here, and that side there. And we'll take these parts here. We will make them metal, just like the top part. Color, and then set there. And then, because as you can tell, we only have it on one side and this side. So if we simply mirror it from this angle, it will appear on both sides now. Right, it's starting to look pretty strong, like as if there's a lot of metal keeping this thing together. I guess players will be able to view this thing from the bottom. So obviously this doesn't look good. No roofs look like this, because obviously these needs to have some kind of support under them. So we will duplicate this part here and scale it inwards. We'll cover the bottom, then scale it all the way over. This looks a bit weird because obviously the parts are just connecting like this, and this looks really strange and doesn't look good at all. So I definitely suggest scaling it inwards a little bit, so you definitely can see this part here. It goes into this part here to connect. So you just imagine that there's a hole in this part, and that is what actually this thing slides into. There we go. Fix the material, because you know that's really important apparently. But it still looks pretty weak, I would say. Definitely, there's not actually any proper support for this. So I would duplicate this again, and then scale it down. So now that it ends up being 0.1 stud, so it won't actually overlap with this part. So we take resize center, scale it inward like this. So if I did 0.1 stud more, it would be on the same as the metal, and that's not what we want. So we're gonna move back in, and then resize center. There we go. And now it looks like as if this part here is being supported by this one here, and this thing goes into metal. But if we really want to go into like a little bit more detail, then definitely we can duplicate this part even again, move it over here, scale it downwards and then outwards, and then make this part metal as well. There we go. Now it looks like as if this slides in here, although it does look pretty weird by the fact that these are the same color, so we'll have to change this. And now let's take off my glasses again, and we'll make this a darker color. Oh, that was, did I even change it at all? I don't think I did. I just go back down to the same one. Like that. It looks a little bit more greenish. Does that look good? Not really, it looks a little bit off. I don't quite like that. There we go, that's better. So that will be the color that we're going to be using for structural support now. So how I do it when I color things is that I will not just, oh, look at this, I would like to add some green to this, or I would like to add some more gray to this. No, when I design things, I will always choose main colors and then detail colors. So the main color on this particular building, when it comes to the walls, would obviously be the yellow up here. What am I saying? I'm completely opposite. This would be the secondary main color. The main color would be this color here. because that makes up the most of it, and it does merge the best with all the other colors. The secondary main color would be this up here, and third would be the detailing color down here. We have the main color, which is this color here, and this will basically be the one that I use the most. So up here, around here, as you can tell, it just goes around, and most of it has the same color. But to create the shadow and the different tone of the color, to actually make it stand out more, I will make it a slightly different color. That's it done here. Steam. I should probably log out from Steam, but it's too late now. I've seen there's a bunch of people have logged in. And then the darker color, which will be at the bottom, and that is down here. So there's 3 different colors. Well, technically 4, with the top here as well, because this is a different color than down here. But back to this particular build here. So now we should probably just, actually maybe I should scale this inwards like that. Will that look good? Kinda, not really. Although if I don't do that, it's too small, so you don't really see it that well. Oh, decisions, awful. Alright, that's how, okay, it will have to be 0.2. So, as we can tell here, it's now 0.2 difference from that side. And now I will mirror it like that. And I select all of these parts here. And then I mirror it again. So the roof is starting to take shape. But I wanted to use these parts here. So I'm gonna select this part, duplicate it, and I'm gonna move it downwards. Pardon, my neighbors dropped something. How many things can they drop? I just keep hearing things dropping in the background from their apartment. Right, so we take this part here and we rotate it. So I have positioned it so it's roughly in the center of these parts, and we take it by half. Actually, 7.5 will work like that. And to give it, because right now it looks really flat and this looks really boring, so we'll just scale it inwards to itself. And now, as you can, there you go. And as you can tell, if you look at it from this angle, it does have this slight shadow that's really visible here. If I would have made it 0.5, you would hardly even notice that. Like it's such a small detail. So I usually just go with 0.2 or 0.1. It really depends on like what you're building and like how visible it will be. But in this particular case, I would like it to be at least 0.2. It looks a little bit empty in here, like there's a bit of a structural weakness. So I'm gonna take a wedge. This one here. And I'm gonna slap it. Moving wedges around has always been really awkward in Roblox. Like that. And then just move it in. So it kind of looks like as if it is the same width here as 0.2 as up here. And as I can tell, it doesn't really look like it. I'll scale it down to 0.025 and move on down, and there we go. It looks good enough, I would say. We take the color, duplicate it, flip it around like that. And now we have the same issue here again, so we'll just repeat the process. A little bit more difficult to see because obviously this is the bottom, so this would be the darkest. And now we can duplicate these. like that. And duplicate it into the other direction as well. There we go. So the roof is starting to get a really pointy kind of look. And that's kind of what I'm trying to go for. I want it to look cold. I want it to have metal, which is, in this particular case, like the metal makes it look cold, it makes it look rough. And the colors really do help to give that feel. Right, so I'm kind of thinking if I would like to add something more to the roof. You know what, I think I will settle down with what I have right now. This looks fine. So we will take this part here, duplicate it, and we will rotate this thing so we get it to be actually I can change this value here. It'll make my life much easier. And then we scale it, well, not scale it, but then we rotate it around till we get the, that's what I was looking for. And then actually I just noticed that this is starting to look really thin. So maybe if I just take these parts here, like a building is in general just a lot of trial and error, but you start to run into issues that things don't really look good when you stop trying things, which is obviously, it sounds like, oh yeah, that's freaking obvious, but most people, they will give up before they even reach the point where it actually looks good, and that's because they don't want to spend the time required to actually make it look good. So the more you keep trying, the more results you'll get, and eventually you will get the one, you know, your life partner, or the amazing build that you have struggled and aimed for your entire life. From the moment you were born, you were like, that result will be mine one day, and now you have it. Congratulations. Let's take a look here. Man, oh man, this is looking really thin. This is not how I wished it would look. If I do that, it adds a tiny bit more to it. I guess technically I could extend this out a little bit more. So yeah, this is also quite how I would normally build. I don't like to use references, mainly because when I build something, I want it to feel like this is what I have built. I have designed this from scratch, more or less. Obviously, it is impossible to design something from scratch. You will, well, at least in today's day and era, you will be inspired by something somewhere, and that will be what you will base your design around. But in this particular case, at least when it comes to Roblox and building, I like to try and be as original with my designs as I possibly can, more or less. Does that work? Maybe if I just make these a little bit, extend them a tiny bit. No, nah, that didn't work out. Although if I just do that tiny bit, how about that? Nah. I tried, it didn't work. Okay, I'm gonna try something else then. Okay, why do I keep making new ones? I can just steal the ones I already have. Oops, let's try and rotate it properly. Well, this build is actually taking way longer, mostly because I'm thinking about like the tutorial. Normally I would almost be done by now. Actually, I don't know how long have I been streaming. I don't even have, not streaming. How long have I been recording? Why I'm asking a recording? I don't really know. I will know in the future when I stop recording. Let's see here. adds a little bit more, and then we take these parts here, move them outwards, scale them like that. What happened here? Huh? Oh, right. I forgot about that. There we go. Can I get away with this? Because now I'm branching outwards. This is the issue when you build it too small. Things look pretty flimsy and weak. You know what? It might not look as the most gracious support you've ever seen, but I kind of like it. It makes it stick out a tiny bit more. It gives the build a little bit more of a shape. So I think I will keep that. Maybe I'll even add it up here. Yeah, I definitely will. Look at this. Look at this. Let's see here. If we take these parts here, extend up to, and we select that face. It goes all the way up like that. And we take these parts here, move up, take that one as well, just to get the size correct. And this one is 0.3 studs. So what you can do is to get the position correct straight away, is to take, resize the line, select this, and like that. And now obviously this one will be a really awkward size, but because you checked before to make sure like that it is 0.3, you will just move it in like that. Because if it, for example, have really awkward values like this, as you can tell, like to basically use 0.05 to go down to 0.03, you know, it's off already and doesn't look good. So I will always take this part here, drag it all the way down. This way it will go down to 0.05, which is the smallest value. And you know that this side will remain lined up with this part here. So if we simply now scale it in like that, that's 0.3. And now we can take this wedge here, move it up, make sure that it is connected, and it is. And now, you know, you can remove that one. It doesn't really serve a purpose anymore. Scale this one down a little bit to make it easier to move it up. Now we take it like that. So that was one way you can do it, or you can do it a quicker way. So simply take this part here. You look at this axis orientation that you have in the left corner, which says the X is this direction. So if we simply go down to position, X, copy that one, select, and paste. Oops, that's the wrong value. There we go. Ta-da! Magic. And that should be the same one. Yep, it is. Now, when you do this particular part, you will most likely, run into a little issue. And the issue is that you will notice that, well, how am I going to connect these wedges together? And that's a really common question I get. But the issue is that it's always been, oh yeah, how do I do this? And when I try to explain it, you know, it's, you use resize align, and you can't do things. What was this humming for? It's really weird to explain. Not really the easiest of things to. Wow, I'm really stumbling my words right now. But basically, it's not easy for me to explain with words how you do it. I kind of have to show you in a way. And lucky for you, this is a video tutorial, so I can, you know, show you. Also, a little fun thing about wedges when you try and use resize align on them is that if it is too sharp, like the angle, then you won't actually be able to get the face that you're looking for, as you can tell. It just keeps selecting every single one except the one you want. But if you scale it down, so it's more or less flat, then it will work. So if I, for example, was like, oh yeah, I really want, not that I will in this particular situation, but I'm like, yeah, I really want this one to be the same height as this part here. I will just scale this one down first, and then I use resize align like that, and now it's the perfect height. But that was the complete opposite. Now I want this one to be as big as that one, and that one as that one. Right, so the difficult part here, which I have so many times been asked, how do I do this? Well, first of all, inner touch, because you want to get that little point here. Just to make things easier to see, in this tutorial I will move these away. So how you solve this is by using a corner wedge. That's the word I was looking for. So most people would be really lazy and they would be like, oh, I don't really feel like doing it, I don't know how to do it, and then we'll just take gap fill like that, and then it's rounded, and I don't like it when it looks rounded. If everything else is really sharp, to round things off like that, no, just no, you can't justify such vile actions. All right, it doesn't work like that. So you're gonna take this corner wedge and you're gonna move this part out here to make it more easier to position this part here. Move it inwards a little bit. So what we want is for it to basically like that. So we will scale it down so it fits the other part. And now I will do the same thing with the other side. Oops, 0.05. What's happening here? Oh, right. I accidentally scaled in the wrong direction. And now we'll make these flat. Boop, like that. And boop. Move it inwards again. Now, really easily just use gap fill. Resize the line. Don't use gap fill. That's the wrong thing to do. And ta-da! You have solved it. You can use a triangle tool to solve this as well, but that's just like you have to create nodes, and it will be really messy, and you won't get this straight end either. So I would definitely suggest do it like this. Do it the right way. Do it my way. And we do resize align outer touch to connect those. Obviously we want the colors and the material. Oops. And then we take like that, so we fall all the way down. Oh crap. And then we mirror it. Right. So, do you remember what I was talking about earlier? If you watched that part, unless you skipped this particular part, in which case, hey! But the issue is that you can't mirror unions, and for some reason, wedge corners are really awkward to mirror as well. So you will have to try and. Can I salvage this? I don't really know if I can. Oh, that was awkward. Wait, really? Why does this not work for? I always thought that worked. Oh, that is apparently not working the way I wanted to. Okay, well, in that case, you know the drill. Get started placing corner wedges Wait, did I move that? I did. And for some reason the drag and select is really awkward. So that's that one part. Copy that one as well. Find where it is. And for some reason it is not. Come on now. Wait. I will be placing that one. That's the one I'm looking for. Okay. We're just gonna do this. And then like that. Oops. Because I used resize align before. That's actually not how. Okay. I'm really messing up. But then again, I've been at it making this video tutorial, and then of course the the intro, which alone probably took even longer than this. I edited it and it took me like 3 hours because I had to like keep recording in. I kept had to record like new voiceovers for what I was doing, because I don't know, it ended up sounding weird, so I had to make new ones all the time. Like that. There we go. Now we should have something that's looking. Oh crap, I forgot. I messed up. I should have positioned it correctly. But what I can do to get the position right, and this is something that I definitely recommend that you learn how to do. So if we simply, I don't know why I moved them up so far. Now, as you can tell, if we take this wedge here, we do inner touch and we connect these. Now it is where it should be, and technically I should have this corner wedge positioned here, but because I was a little bit too fast for my own well-being, I guess, I accidentally forgot to do that. And now I want to know what the size difference is between this end here and then that end here. So by simply taking this part here, duplicating it again, moving it, and now it's positioned up against the end of this part here. What we're gonna have to do is to simply move it by 0.5. So that is on the outside. And now we move, and now we use the resize align, extend up to this side, that side, and now we have the value, which will be 0.336. And now if we take this part here, move it to the side with 0.0336, it should be positioned perfectly. And that's actually a really handy technique, especially if you want to place windows like these ones here as an example. If you want to free move them. Actually, you know, I can definitely duplicate these just to show you how. Remove these, remove that. And I'm like, I would really like to place the window here. No, actually, you know, even better. I would really like to take it and place the window on a slope like this, which has been moved. And I don't remember what value I used. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. Like that. And now it's really off. So I can't just duplicate this onto this side and then work my way over. Not gonna work out. So what I'm gonna do is to take this part here and then move it, rotate it so that it's the same as the wall, and move it in like that. And now this part here, duplicate in like this, extend up to the wall. Now we know that it's 2.578. And then there we go. Now it's perfectly positioned on that wall as well. And other than, because some other people would love to just, you know, be lazy and not do this properly and kind of free position it with increments off, I guess technically you could get something that looks almost as good, I guess. But it is not perfect. And you want to become the best, as we, discussed earlier. So we can't do it like other people do because they're lazy. Another quick way to get it to onto this wall here, instead of me doing the exact same thing as I just did, and rotating it like this and scaling and so on, is what you can take this part here, the perfect corner of this part. Actually, I'll scale it up a little bit to make it easier to see. So the corner here, if I take this and duplicate it, and then I use select edge, because this is a 90 degree, if I move it by 45 degrees, like that, now you have the perfect center of this. So we take this window here and we mirror it on this side, and ta-da! Now you have it the exact same distance from this wall here, the exact same as is all. They're both positioned up against the wall, and it looks amazing. It's a really quick and easy way to do it. But yeah, let's go back to building of this thing here. So we remove these because obviously I've changed the values. We can take this one here as well. Now I guess I can do it like that, just to extend it out a little bit more, because right now it would look too small to even be noticeable. It almost even does at this point as well. So let's make it a little bit further, like that. Remove these as well, and then I can group these. I missed that one. And I can take these as well. Remove it on this side as well. There we go. And then that one. Mirror on the wall. There we go. Wow. Now it really almost starts to have a slight, I would almost say like a World of Warcraft orc type of feel almost to it, because these things are really starting to stick out like tusks almost, or they extrude from the building. Maybe you don't think so, but I definitely do. And hey, this is my build, so I will say whatever I want. Obviously, this building is extremely small, so it's a really awkward build. But if you were to make this... Are you kidding me? I forgot. Let's see, duplicate this one, and then rotate it around. There we go. Now it looks good. But yes, I was gonna say, because this is a small build, it would probably look a little bit awkward. Unlike this building here, where I have enough space to position things accordingly, so that they're not too squeezed. But that doesn't matter here. We don't care. We're going for a small building because, well, what else should you build for a tutorial? So we take it like this, duplicate. This building will not have an interior, by the way. I'm so not going over an interior build. Actually, let's do this first. Take this part. Now, because I want to be this part to size all the way up to here, we're gonna take extend up to, and then we do this end like that, this end like that. We move it upwards so we get the 0.05, one down again to get 0.1, make it easy to work with, and then we just keep going down until we're happy with what we got. 0.6 looks good. Let's make it 0.2 here. resize from the center. Maybe 0.4. Yeah, that looks good. We want to add a little bit more depth to the building. So I think maybe we'll even slap on another wedge. Now, because I don't like it to be in this particular model, I will just simply cut, move up to workspace. That's also a handy little thing to know about, that if you do Control C, Control V, it will just keep stacking like this. Unless you use Control D. I don't know if Control D is on Roblox or if it's Shift D. Wait, no, Shift C. Maybe Shift C is the duplicate on SBS. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, so if you do take something that has the what was I gonna go with this again? I don't remember. But whatever. I will come back to that once I remember. So we want to give this a little bit more shape. So we'll take this part here, scale it back in. We'll duplicate, Control D, scale it inwards so that we get 0.05 again. Let's make it a little bit further, like that. And I want this one to have, I think, 60-degree angle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's looking better. And then I want it to have, actually let's make it a little bit further up like that. Like, there we go. And then same thing as before. So we get to 0.05 I mean, and we move it back down. And it should slope, perfect. Like that. We'll take this part here, Control D, and then rotate pivot. Alt, middle mouse button click on this center part, and then rotate it around until it connects again. Now that does actually go a little bit too long. So let's move it backwards a tiny bit, maybe like that. Oops, accidentally forgot that one as well. We can duplicate it just to make it easy to visualize where it will actually end. Right, so what I'm going to do here is to use resize align. As you might have noticed, I use resize align all the time because it's just such an amazing plugin, and it saves so much time. And by using inner touch, I will get that perfect little whatever you would call that, well, connection basically. We take this wedge here and we try and actually let's make it smaller so it's easy to work with, like that. Take another one, actually no, once. We will position this one correctly, not like that. And then obviously the same size as this part. I move it all the way. Duplicate. Oh, you don't have to duplicate. If you want to, you can use mirror. Either works, but I decided to duplicate in this case. And now we do have the wedges positioned like this. Using resize align again, out of touch, it will perfectly align. And the amazing thing with this is that you won't actually get that really annoying looking sea fighting. It looks perfect. And what if we add a tiny bit more to this? We'll give it a little bit more shape. We'll add this wedge here. I'll make it 0.2 again. Now I have to think for a moment before I do something stupid, like casually setting my kitchen on fire. Yeah, that should work. So we place it like this, and we move these outwards. Maybe we even extrude it a little bit further, like that. That looks good. Scale like this. What I'm trying to do now is to bring this out to give this build a tiny bit more shape. And as you might have noticed, like, it's starting to kind of look detailed, but at the same time, it isn't detailed at all. It's a really simplistic build, and the detail, they come from the colors and the shadows that are casted, because it's a really simplistic build. The only thing that's actually creating detail are the shadows. The same thing goes over here. The shadows create the detail. And I have a different place I can show you, which will be an even better example of how to use shapes, how to use shadows to create the detailing. So we can take these, move outwards one stud. Oh, yeah. There we go. Scale it again. Now we can move these. Like that. Now, it would be easy to just place this part here and be like, oh yeah, resize the line, save me. Boop. Like that. But now you get that really ugly corner. That looks awful. I know. It just stings in your eyes, and you feel horrible, and you feel like as if you could puke and end up in economic problems because of that. So, to avoid all of those issues, we will simply just duplicate this part here, move it outwards, and position it so that it will cover like that. It would be easy to just use a union and then get a perfect cut like this. But that is not really what I'm looking for, because if you look at it from an angle, you'll see it has a bit of a zigzag look. And I kind of like it. It looks like as if it adds a tiny bit of depth to the build. So what we're going to do is to, as I mentioned before, we always want to think about performance. So even if this is just one part here, this is a tiny little thing, but if I don't do it right now, this is going to bother me for pretty much the rest of the build. So what we're going to do is that we take these parts. Alright, I forgot I have to duplicate the other side. Boop, like that. And now, not those. And now it should need that one as well, so I can scale it downwards on this end, like that. We take these two parts here, resize world all the way over here to connect. We use extend up to, select that surface, and then that surface to connect them again. It would be easy if I had made it smaller, but I mean larger, so I wouldn't actually have to really go in for a tiny little gap, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. So now we can take this part here and then scale it inwards, because now we want to create the actual wall that will be on this end here. So we scale it upwards. Actually, we'll use extend into this time, and that part. Now it will be perfectly aligned here. Is this really what I wanted to? Maybe. You know what? I have another idea. I just keep adding more and more crap to this, and this is how I build. All right, I don't you just, oh, okay, well, I guess I shouldn't add more. It's like, oh, you know, I maybe will look good if I slap one more part onto this thing, or maybe it will look even better if I add 600 parts more. You know, normally that's a little bit overkill, but as long as you just keep adding on your build, it will eventually look amazing. Or it looks overkill, in which case you kind of have to take it easy with detailing. And the same thing as before. And now, one of my favorite plugins, Resize Align. These parts will have the color of that part, which is the slightly darker one. We'll make this wood as well. Oops, there we go. Let's flip the materials. Right, it is correct. And now we simply just take a wedge, we position it up against this part here, so we get the center. Actually, I need to do the other side. There we go. Now we have the center. Because always I wanna save as many parts as possible. So I will use wedges to fill this hole here. This is a slightly awkward size. So I'm gonna resize it all the way up again. So I get 0.05, just like before. We move it down like that. And then we move this one down. Actually, do I really need a wedge? I guess maybe I'll even save one part by using a wedge. So I flip it around. No, I won't save one more part. But I would have to do this either way. So now I'll just move this part outwards. I'll find something I can select. Okay, I'll take that one. Like that. And then down. Wood. And then we take material flip. Like that. We want it to look as if, because the wood on these go up. These ones, they go up as well to connect. So instead of just making it look like as if the wood is falling, we want it to be resting on the side. We'll move it back, move it back in like that. And then duplicate. Wrong side. There we go. And now it looks of course I'll always take off my glasses a tiny bit. There we go. That is the color. That is the one I'm looking for. Look at that. It's a little bit difficult to see from this end, but if I take this part here, this wedge, I mirror it so it ends up on the other side, and I move it upwards. Now I got a point to scale the parts using Resize Align. So I just extend up to, and I just look through this thing. I do this. Obviously I can use these new parts again like that. Man, this is starting to look decent in detail actually with the new parts. Maybe it looks a little bit odd that it just ends here. So we could always use 0.02 scale outwards. I'll just, because I don't want it to actually will this have a look. No, I won't. Because this part here overlaps with this one. If I now use Resize Align and I extend it towards this part here, even if I scale it down, it will not show on this end back here. can just get all the way down like that. And, well, up like that. Okay, that didn't work out. Let's just resize the line here again. Like that. Take that part and then mirror it. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Can't forget about this. Now this looks a little bit weird, so we'll take this part here and we'll scale it inwards. Scale it up by 0.2 and just scale it so that you won't actually see this particular part. All the way up, down, in like this. Yeah. What I would normally do now, because I don't like to have, I like to have as little C-fining as possible. I will scale this one down into this part so I won't actually see the end. And I will select extend into. And that will give me the minimum amount of C-fining as possible. Let's see here. Scale around. Oops. Go around like that. There we go. That looks better. Now I'm thinking, like, wow, this particular design, it really sticks out. It looks really freaking pointy. So what I can do is to add what it was called, like a church type of glass. Brain, come on, work faster. A stained glass, that's the word I was looking for. I would like to add a stained glass window that goes down like this. So I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna take this part here, select edge, after duplicating it, down like that, scale inwards 0.05, outwards, make 0.1 because I want to work with that easier, 0.02, like that. Although I only want this window on one side, so I'm gonna move it out here because the door will be on the other side. So I'll move it down like this. Yeah, and let's build onto the wall a tiny bit more, actually, just so I can have something to work off. I will take a corner wedge, and then figure out where I was going to place that. Right, here we go. I already lost myself. I can't see. There we go. And you know, it would be pretty intuitive, I guess, for a beginner build to just place it on the corner and be like, all right, this is where I'm gonna keep it. No, we are looking for shadows, and shadows means that you can't make it look connected in that same way. We'll have to move it, but we want to keep it 0.03 instead. Now we get that slight difference, and that will add to the overall shape. We'll move it downwards like that. How much is that? That's 11. Let's make it 1 by 1. 0.5. Like that. And now we add a wedge. That also has to be 1 by 1. 1 by 1 by 1. And there we go. Duplicate. Move it around like that. Perfect. Look at that. Amazing. Man, you're gonna be able to, you're gonna have to be really thin to be able to be in this building. So actually, let's make this one slightly smaller. Otherwise, there's no real way this is gonna look good because it'll be way too thin. Like that. We take this part here, scale it. We scale inwards. Scale inwards again. And then down. Oops. Like that. There we go. Now, I don't want it, as I said before, I don't want it to look connected, because if the design flows, it won't actually have any shadows. So I need to do something like that. Now we have a bit more to work with here. Yeah, let's just get it all the way in like that. This one. Let's duplicate these all the way onto the other side. So I can take a resize a line, extend up to. There we go. Now, the reason why resize a line worked with this particular part is because it is the same value in each direction. So it doesn't actually have to rethink about the positioning of that particular part. Right. And then we can take this part here. Actually, let's take that one here. We'll see if we can maybe add, let's see, extend up to that part there. That's not what I want. I want to be like that. So now it will align. No, it will not align apparently. Now it will though. Is that too small? That is too small. That doesn't look good at all. So what we're gonna have to do is to move it downwards. And now it sticks out a little bit more. Duplicate this thing here again. Oops. Get in like this. There we go. And now it adds a little bit more to this particular part here. So definitely the way we want to go. We select this part here, select edge, move it up here as well. This particular part is 0.3 studs, so we're gonna 0.3 studs in like that. And we will take extend into that side. I don't want the glass to go all the way up, I think. Or do I? Maybe I do. Maybe it look like an ice shard in that case. It kind of has that slight look to it almost, I would say. Because it has that really cold and dead colors in a way. I'm not quite sure if I'm adding too much to this side, so but we should take a look first. So if we scale inwards, resize the line, doesn't really matter which one we have selected unless it is these two. Like that, extend into there as well. Yeah, we're adding too much to that, so let's not do that. Oh. That's not for too long there. Duplicate, select edge, this one here. Same thing again, down. Apparently not. What happened? Why is that not working? Alright, obviously that's not working. We will take this here, extend up to that part all the way because we want it to be 0.05, and then, well, you can do 0.25 and get down, it'll be 0.3 perfectly again. We will mirror it like that, and then extend into Perfect. This part here will be moved up and scaled inwards. Actually, let's see. Can I get away with this, or do I need to have one wedge? I will need to use one wedge. Lucky for me, there's a lot of wedges around. So I'm gonna be taking it over here. Make it 2 by 2 by 2. Come on now. Hello. Really? Why is this happening to me? Okay, whatever, I guess. Right, we go down here. Move it down. Because obviously we want to save parts. That's always something worth to keep in mind. So one wedge we'll have to do. Like that. And I want it to... Actually, I want it to overlap. And I want it to go by the same as these. So what I'm going to do is be forced to not use this part. I'll do, let's see here. Now it's perfectly again. Like that. Up. That. Move it by one stud because we want it to be perfectly lined up with the center. And we do extend up to on that side, extend up to again, and place it here. And then we mirror it as well. And now, but damn, look at that. It fills that side. Okay. Man, this is a long recording session, that's for sure. But I'm soon done. So actually, that's kind of cool. Actually, I think I'll keep that. I will take these ones. And that's something, you know, I wouldn't have noticed if I removed parts. So I like to keep things just like laying around. I might accidentally move it into the wrong place later on and be like, oh, you know, that kind of looks a little bit cool. I might actually want to use that for this particular design or for a future build. It looks like an A. Why I want to. Oops. Oh, there we go. Now we're gonna move this one in by 0.2, and then obviously resize world just to extend further in. 0.2 again. This should be. Wait, where did you come from? Right, never mind. Okay, I'm being silly. Let's take this part here, extend there as well, and now we have something to bevel outwards, I would say. So we can take another wedge. And as you've noticed, I've kept the same color for all metal. And the wonderful thing with metal, especially in this particular case, that, well, you don't really recolor metal, usually, I would say. Not in this particular sense, because this is now the main color for all structural support will be metal. So we're going to take that one again. Oh, no, wood. Metal. There we go. I guess we could technically use the new and fancy glass material. Why is that one Okay then. Okay. Fixed. And then take class. And we can take like sure. Pretty heavy reflection. Transparency. Should be like okay, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it for some reason. I don't know why I just placed it like that and expected something. Obviously, yeah, what I can do is I can place wedges here. It would look better with the wedges, definitely. I completely agree. Thank you for pointing that out. But in this particular case, it doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do is to take this part here and see if we can create some kind of decoration for the windows. Similar to how I use the wooden planks, whatever that would be called, going left and right. I will do the same thing here. I just noticed that I've been trying really hard not to curse or anything like this entire video. And I practically did a devil sacrifice of I basically sacrificed a protein bar and 2 gums early in this video. I don't really think it's possible to redeem myself, but I think I'm just gonna keep it up. It feels good to stay clean for one video, I guess, at least. Oh, that's... Go away, I don't want your... Oh, that's... Ew. That's 2 stripes. Okay. Another thing, I personally... This is my personal opinion. You might not share this opinion, but I personally hate stripes. I think stripes looks awful. And they never really look good. They never really look interesting. It just... So I'm sorry, America, but your flag is not a beautiful one. I'm so sorry. My personal opinion. Please don't kill me. How dare I voice my opinion in my own tutorial? Let's try a different window sign. Like this. Maybe I'll even duplicate these. Maybe even spice it up a tiny bit more. These parts are 2 studs long, okay. That means I should make them 1 stud. And also use the right tool, thank you. Let's just remove. Wait. No, those ones I need to remove. Like that. And now we're gonna move these by 1 stud. There we go. Now let's see how this looks. Add a bit more glass. What color did I use? Is that the one? Bright blue. Yeah, it's bright blue. And then we're gonna do transparency. Now we're getting somewhere, like kind of, sort of. Why am I changing that? That's the wrong value. Actually, I should just do this. I'm gonna select all of them. And then do slightly brighter. Okay. Is that noticeable? Not really. A little bit more blue. At this point, it's no longer really a tutorial. It's just me going Does this look good? Not really. I guess I'll go back. But that will have to do. I'm relatively satisfied with that look, I guess. Good enough, basically. So to get the position correct, I will move this entire thing quite a large amount to the side, so that the value in between this part and then this part I just made will be as great as possible. So I'll go in here, I'll look at the position, which is the Z axis. I will open a calculator, which apparently doesn't open correctly. Random faces there. And then we go to 23.64. Yes, I know, I have a comma for some reason. There we go. Now it's 5.82. And that's all we have to move this entire thing with to get it in the perfect center. Now, these are 0.5 wide. So what if I do this? Actually, what am I even thinking about? I can just take these, move them over there, and move these over here. Wait, no. Maybe? Did that a slight bevel? Not that I want though. It should be that one. Is this a part in this? There's a part inside of this part that I cannot see. So I'm just gonna steal these over to that side, like that. And now we will take these. Wait, what happened here? Why is it? Wait, what happened there? The studio being messy? Yeah. Oh, never mind. Man, this new material is really messing with mine sometimes, I've noticed. We can take these, move it up as well. Select off them again, move up like that, and then these can just keep going. It will be such a tiny little detail, no one will notice it. No one but me, the person who built these things. Every single time I walk by, I'm gonna be like, I really messed up on over there. I shouldn't have. I could have avoided it, but I didn't. That's a color difference there. Select them like this. So there's gonna be two new sets. If you're not sure if you have selected an object, because you know there's a lot of parts here, and you're like, oh, did I really select this? Maybe that one. Because it doesn't look any different. You don't see that it actually doesn't have a select box on it. If you check in the Explorer and you just, you know, deselect and select it a few times, you'll be able to see that it's being highlighted over there. Another way to do it is just select the entire thing, you group it, so you move it to the side, and you're like, oh, will you look at that? I missed one up here. Which I don't care much about. Because you will never see it. Is there a gap up here? Nope. Alright, awesome. In that case, I will select all of these and I will change their color. Wait a second. Oh, right, that's why. Oops. Like that. Let me just copy that one over there. Wait, That was correct. Where's the incorrect thing? You know what? It doesn't matter. And up like that. Not the most beautiful windows I've seen. It definitely could use some work. But this video is starting to take a little bit too long. But I'm gonna do that thing I mentioned earlier with the wedges though, because that's actually annoying me and it's easier to work with if I fix it up. Back down to metal again. Actually, like that. And like that. Duplicate. Move it over. Duplicate this one as well. 0.2. One down. And then scale it inwards. So we get the same size here as we get on that angle as well. We move it down. In. We're still looking for the shape. To just keep. We're still looking to expand the shape and use shadows to create detail. Remove those. I could probably fix this up in a better way. Let me just set a slight transparency to this. Maybe that will help. It didn't help at all. Oh no. Whatever. It looks really cool now though. I would like to take these and and then duplicate it. Actually, I want to mirror it in the opposite direction, like that. Can move it down. So that's a pretty cheap way to do it, I guess. Because the issue I have right now with this is that, well, it doesn't really look it's still like, it basically looks like a perfect clone of the top side. So I want to avoid that, and by doing so I will expand this one 0.5. If this works or not. Oops. Like that. And then we gotta take this one part, move it up. And this is, I usually just do 0.2 inwards like that. And we can take bricks as an example, scale it upwards. Man, the gamer really do like to play a bunch of games on this. Keeps popping up in the left corner all the time. And then we do material flip. Like that. Fixed. But obviously the color, the color is just too dead. This is bad kind of dead, alright. It doesn't look good at all. So we want to go for maybe not a bright color. We want to go for just flow this thing around a little bit, see if we can find something that kind of looks like something we would like to have. Now we're getting somewhere. Slightly brighter maybe. Let's go up here. Is this something that looks good? Oops, apparently that one also I forgot to fix. Oops. 0.5. A bunch of whoops on my end all the time. Honest. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I guess this kind of works. And this is a really weird building, but it looks kind of cool at the same time. So let's just keep building on it. So that's how you make good looking things. Let's add another layer. And then extend the bottom. So this bottom piece here, it will be given a cobblestone instead. But that cobblestone is a little bit too bright. And now I'm thinking maybe I should give the material a slightly different color. At least the one that's being used here. Oops. Did not spot that before, but there we go, it's been fixed. Yeah, so we can give this a slightly different color. I'll give it a little bit more blue in it. I need to take off my glass. I can't see. No. What is the difference? Let's move this one out a little bit more. Like that. 2 out, 1 down. This. Maybe we should make this wood instead. Or we take this color. Wood. Well, it does make slight sense, since there is light coming down from the sides, but from a structural standpoint, to use wood like a roof in this kind of way is a little bit weird. No one would really do that. But maybe if we make it darker, because obviously if it's been out like this, it's been exposed to the elements. And the elements, aka rain, wind, and not really fire usually, but who knows, maybe it rains fire where this thing is. That's a pretty... Let's see, I can get a little bit more like that, slightly gray. Yeah. Let's go with that. That can do. I can settle with this. Make it 0.01 and then scale it further. And we want to scale this in by 2. Did I fix this one? I did. By 2, there we go. We check the size, it's 7. 8 now. That's 9. Wait. What's happening? Alright. Wrong direction. Want to move it inwards a little bit more. Make it look thinner. We'll just take this part down here as well. Or maybe even that one. To make it look wider at the bottom as well. Yeah, I'll do that. Now I'll take this one here. I will expand it. Move it down a tiny bit more. Let's see here. Maybe if I expand these upwards and that one up. These details are too small, so we need to expand it. No, that doesn't look good. This looks weird. Alright. It looks really, really weird. And that's not what I'm out for in this particular build right now. I normally prefer to have something in the corners. expand outwards like that. It connects. Excellent. Maybe that looks weird. Maybe it shouldn't. No, it shouldn't. Instead, I will expand. Okay, well now that looks even weirder. Okay, you know, we will undo what I just did. As in undo the undoing. We'll take this part here, move it downwards, scale inwards, and then down. Now to think that I need something more at the bottom, because this is not really looking out the way I want it to. Also, that one can't be shaped like that. It needs to go in like that. Like that. There we go. See, take that part, move it over, color it like that. I mean, position it like that. Using a V-size align like always, because holy snap, what a plugin! It's so useful. What if I use a wedge? And then we take it like that. And move it inwards and up. Take it down to metal. Well, that's looking better at least. Now it's giving me a little bit more of a shape. Yeah, it looks good. I like this. That's all I have to do. Over like that, and then to the other side as well. Apparently it's moving the opposite direction because I flipped it. And also these are not... Wait, what? Oh, of course. Okay, that will have to do. And we can technically do the same thing on this end here as well. To make the wedge usage consistent. I'll do like that so I don't accidentally flip it onto the wrong direction. Yeah, you could, if you really want to, you can add something more to these sides. But I won't. I have gone on for far too long with this build. I did not expect to be recording for... This must have been a few hours now at least. So chances are I will either... You will know, because when you watch this that will already have been decided, but I may end up slicing this video up in a few, so I don't actually have to... Well, say that I don't have to render one video, but end up being... I don't even know how long. It would probably end up being 3 hours or something like that, and that's a pretty crazy long video. And I don't think that people would stick around for that. Yeah, I will have to cut this thing out. So I was really hoping that I would be able to just finish this entire thing and then just publish it and have it all done and just, you know, see the reactions of all the weird stuff that I made today. But well, this night at least, I guess, considering that I've been up doing things for this crap since maybe 4 AM and it's soon 2 PM now. I can take this part here. I can scale it inwards like that. Connect it there. So you don't see the weak underside. I should have done that earlier, but apparently I didn't. This is starting to look more and more like a tomb almost. Somewhere to keep your dead. So we will. Okay, apparently I did not mirror that one. This is also the issue if you do decide to mirror things once you have like built an entire side. Well, you know, you will potentially miss one small part somewhere, and that will bother you later on. Like I did here again for the second time. So I would almost suggest that you do mirror things straight away as you build them. We remove everything around. Now, obviously, as I told you before, symmetry is the worst thing ever. I absolutely hate symmetry, but if you can make a quick build like this, then it will more or less just be symmetrical, because otherwise I would have to spend the double amount of time just fixing things left and right. It would take so long, you know. It's a tutorial video, you're supposed to just kind of get an idea of how I do things and then make your own stuff, which will most likely look even better than this. So yeah, that is my excuse, and I stand proud behind it. Now to get the lighting so it's easy to see what I'm actually doing, I'm just gonna flip this thing around like that. Making sure that I do select these parts up here as well, so I don't accidentally end up without them. Man, this looks really weird from the side, but I might actually end up having to do something here at least. Yeah, let's just do that now. Flip this one out like this. Move in. Out like this a little bit more. Down. And in. Now we will simply just scale this down a bit. So what you can do is take like this. Oops. And now this one is 2.3. So we simply move it in like that. And here we have apparently a difference of 4. Okay, so we add 4. Oops. Wrong tool. Like that. Now, if I move this back in here again. Oops. Okay, there we go. And then we move it in. Oops. Using a resize align. And then just to check what it is 0.8. All right then. 0.8. There we go. This may or may not look good, by the way. As always, with my builds, they are never complete until, well, I stop building, I guess. As long as I have Studio open, I am more or less working on it. You know, there's times when I actually don't even close Studio. I just keep it open and like in the background, and I will at times just come back and I will do some slight changes to my build, and then I'll disappear again for a little while and I'll come back again. Let's get the little edge here, because apparently, there you go. I always found Roblox, Roblox like drag is a really weird and wonky tool. It never really works the way you want it to. There we go. And what we're gonna do now is to also take like that. We will connect this using inner touch and then use gap fill to fill like that, because it's gonna put up not the way I was hoping it would, but whatever. That's not my headache. Well, technically it is, but I won't do anything about it. I also realized that I screwed up. It should have been 0.1, I think. How far is that? Was that 4? It was 4. Why is that not 4 then? Why is that even more? Why is that 6 for? Wait, did I just fail to do basic math in my head? That's worrying. Oh well. It's a quick fix though. I'm glad I noticed it ahead of time before I had to fix it. Well, I did it the same way. And now, just like before, I am forced to do it on both ends. So I can move them out, take a wedge, corner wedge I mean. Wedge is a completely different object. See here, slowly but steadily making our way downtown. Wait a second. No, that's correct. That is correct. I got so confused for a moment there because it was so flat. And now I need to position it like that. But yeah, if you have by any chance like ended up watching this entire video, well, this won't be one video now. I have decided I won't make it a one video, but if you have watched the entire series, just like understand how I build things and sat here listening to me ramble for hours now, good on you. That's impressive. I probably wouldn't even be able to listen to myself this long. Maybe I'm not even listening to myself right now. Maybe I'll just completely shut myself off. That adds a little bit more shape to the wall. I kind of like that. So maybe also just follow the same design as before and extend these out. Maybe not. Nah. Or maybe. Decisions. That looks very streamlined. Like, it doesn't actually cast any shadows if I do keep it the other way. Nope, it will be like this. It will be like this. I have decided. And I will take you and you. And I will mirror them to the other side. Move them down. So now I should be able to just select these objects here. Move them across. Okay, apparently I didn't need to do that one. And then that one, wait, that. Wait a second, that's incorrect. That one. Awesome, and now we will select the corner wedges because we can't mirror these. But what we can do is to rotate it because it is still perfectly in the center. I made sure of it. So I'll select that part, which is the center object, and I will move it around. There we go. And now it's perfect. Awesome. And then we do... Let's just casually steal these as well. Stealing's bad, by the way, unless it's from yourself. In that case, go for it. Now that it sticks out on this, it's a little bit annoying. So I will have to fix that. There we go. 0.05. My. And then we're gonna do a part here because I don't want it to actually... I don't want it to show what's on the other side. We can make this. Actually, will neon work? Ooh, it makes it shiny. Well, not really shiny, but more like glowy. I kind of like that. I think I'll keep it like that. I didn't know that neon should glow for glass. Wow, all these new materials we're getting. It's so cool. Allows it to actually create stuff that looks pretty cool. Like, I don't know, I kind of lost myself while I was trying to explain. So what we're gonna do here is we remove these. We take this entire build and we move it down. So it's on the ground level. And I'm gonna take these, scale them so they're gonna be perfectly aligned with this part here. Because the door will basically start halfway. So I'm gonna also take these parts here and move it inwards, like almost like that. Oh, okay, I see. It's a slight change. So it should be 1, but it's 0. Okay. Oops. Oh, keep selecting the wrong tool. There we go. Now it's perfect again. That's the value I wanted. Then we move it out like that. Flip it and then slap that thing on the... Which apparently is not the way I want it. 0.1, come on now. There we go. Move it down. Let's mirror this thing. Like that. Oh my god, I can feel my energy is completely drained. This has been a little bit too long of a building session. Because of me talking really stalls me. There's also stuff I've noticed when I stream. That's actually a tip I would suggest. If you are a builder and you feel like you kind of can't stay motivated because you keep giving up, or like things aren't really working out, I guess you could say, then streaming, like if your PC is able to handle, or Mac, you know, whatever you prefer, if your computer can handle streaming, then that's definitely a really good way to stay motivated. Because when you have people watching you, you always want to show them something. Like you want them to admire your work, basically. And if you're a slow builder, or if you, for example, don't really get much done, you kind of force yourself into the position where you have to be creative. And for some people, especially myself, I feel forcing yourself to just keep at it definitely taught me how to build, you know, this kind of stuff. Like I have to just keep building. I just have to just keep adding stuff, and that is what ultimately did birth me as a builder, I guess you could say. So I've been streaming for several years, building. So if that's something you feel you might be interested of, go for it. Roblox always needs more build streams that provide some really nice quality builds. Let's try and use bot joint for the first time. With a sharp, I guess that kind of works, but now I'm a little bit worried it's too small for the window. So I kind of have to move this one up a little bit. Like that. It's a little bit weird though, because they stick up a little bit too much like that. Probably better. Yeah, looks better. Or I guess I could technically follow the previous design that I had and make something slope outwards. Wow, that is a lot of layers, and it's a little bit too many, I would say. So I would have to separate them a little bit, and I think the best way to do that is by moving this part out. Oh, accidentally punched the mic. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry if that was loud. What if I do this? So I add this part here, and then I make this one like this. Now I need a wedge. Thank you for being so available all the time. We move it up here like that. But yeah, in the future, if I end up, well, I mean, I do like showing people how to do things. That's, you know, originally when I was younger, I actually wanted to become a math teacher because, well, I enjoyed teaching people how to do things, and I also really enjoyed math. So I figured I would become a math teacher, and then, well, that didn't happen. I ended up in construction somehow. Oh, crap. Let's see here. And I think that making videos in the future, if I have like more of a reference of what people want me to do for them, something to show you how to make in particular, it will be easier to organize it, because this video here is basically equally as unorganized as my first video. And if you have seen that thing, holy, I am everywhere at all times, more or less, explaining things. And it kind of reached a point where even I got confused with what I was trying to explain, because there was so much stuff. Just random back and forth. Well, it was more like a ramble video than an actual tutorial, I would say. So what if I do this? And then we move these outwards. I duplicate one of them. I flippity flip it. Whoop. Come on now. Ah! There we go. And then we slice it in there. Extend up to like that, and then like that. Actually, that won't even matter because the way I will have to move it later on. Like see here. Will this work? No, that sticks out. Ouch. Although I can't, I shouldn't do that. So that's fine. That's good. That is good. I think that's actually how I want it. And I will take this part and move it outwards once I have used select edge. Not select edge. Wow, I'm just saying random words right now. Well, this is good practice though for future tutorials. This more than a big, like a slight let's play with commentary about what I'm doing, which I guess is technically what I did promise in my. I don't even know what it's the first part of this, which it won't even be this video, but the first thing I recorded, which was me talking about, oh, you want to be the best and stupid stuff like that. It seemed funny in the middle of the night, alright? And then now I'm kind of thinking like maybe it wasn't that funny. Will people even think that's entertaining? Because it was pretty cringe though, I would definitely say. But oh well, you can't take things all too seriously, I guess. Oops. There we go. And now we scale these. Wait, I won't do anything at all. What if I flip these? Rotate objects and then go to blue. There we go, that's much better. And we like that. Now I feel, because this looks like a really strange looking building. There's a lot of details to it, and it's so dark and grim. I would like to have a wooden door. Or do I really want a wooden door? Yeah, I want a wooden door. So I'm gonna take a part here, and we're gonna get the exact scale of this. We can move it up towards the point where it starts, like that, and then move outwards. We're gonna take a wedge as well, just for good measure. Let's see here. The lovely thing is that we can use that one to get the perfect center of the wedge as well. Although I have to say it's the same technique as before. And wait, why is that not working? There we go. We can duplicate this thing and move it around like that. Although first I think I should extend up to, extend into, I mean. There we go. Right, so this is the door. At least, this is not actually the door, but this is the size that the door will be. Kind of. So we will start off with taking a slight move things off. And this door is currently 3.4. Okay, that's a really strange value. Ouch! 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 Oy. But that doesn't really matter because the door will be open, I think, and then we'll have like a weird, what would you call it? Like a light or some crap, just to basically block the view of the fact that this thing is hollow. I mean. I mean, I like that I like the sharp arch, but at the same time, it's a little bit annoying. So, okay, whatever. We're still keeping to that design. Like this. Maybe no, that's right. And that person's been going back and forth online for a long time now. And that guy also never talked to you, apparently came online. How exciting. I really need to clean up my Steam friends though. Because I have a lot of people on there that I don't really know anymore. Now I would say that changing these a little bit, maybe like this, to make it look like a wooden, kind of jagged-ish door. Not exactly the most pristine condition that you would like a door to be in, I guess. I just noticed that these are not lined up with the part, and that's really annoying, so I need to fix that. It's here, and that one with that one, and that one with that one. There we go. Just move them all down a bit. I'll let you be the one this time to have the part on you. There we go. Now I've had this Red Bull next to me for the past 4 hours, I think. I took one sip before I started streaming. And then it's been standing there. Well, why do I keep saying streaming? Not streaming, before I started recording. Oh, this is a really freaking bad color. This is not the one I'm going to be using. Like that. There we go. Well, maybe actually we will be using this color. So obviously we want to, let's see here, take one part, scale inwards, because it looks really weird by the fact that it's completely like that you can see between the gaps that easily. Now the door is almost starting to have a slight cartoon feel to it, I would say. Okay, there we go. Now we ungroup it. We will make it, oops. Let's see if we can get something that looks good. There we go, it's perfect. Something like that maybe. Is that practically the same as I had before? I don't know, who knows. Now we will do this. I will take these and make them slightly darker, like that. And then we take this particular one, we make it a little bit brighter, and that one darker. Like that. And now we could actually use some more metal, because you know, metal saves the world. Metal makes the world go around. They built the Death Star out of metal, kind of, I think, unless they have some like super sci-fi material in Star Wars. I don't really know. I don't keep much track of this movie series, but I don't know. I've reached the point where ramblings no longer make sense. They're just weird ramblings now. I would like this particular door to have a weird looking doorknob, more like a handle. It would go out like this, and it would be positioned like this, and then we'll go out again, smaller. Let's see here. Yeah, I will have to do. All right then, and now it's time to make a ring. So what you can do to make a ring is that you simply take a part here, which will be serving as the point of origin for the rotation. So we will simply make, I can scale this one down, and that way it will be easier to show, but also at the same time to understand what I'm actually doing. So you can do, let's see here, how much this would be, plus 7.5, so 22 plus 5, 22.5, there we go, that was difficult to say. That would be possible, correct. So what I would normally do is that I would place 3 parts like this. I would start with one of them to get the rings width, and then I make 3 of them, and I will be taking the resize the line out the touch feature, and then just connect them like this. And now it's just to simply, you know, keep duplicating it. Like that. Ta-da! It's done. Another way you can do it, if you want to be a silly potato, is to just select one part here, move out like this, select edge, and then, you know, you keep it up like this. And this will take a while, but I usually do it this particular way because, well, you know, it's much easier. So this one will be 0.25. That was way too small. But I mean, wait, is that? Like that. Now we flip it, although we want to have a slight rotation. Because it should look as if maybe it's maybe like the door has a slight I don't know, maybe there's something that's actually keeping it up, or maybe the door is just built so that it keeps it outwards like that. Obviously 16 part for this tiny little thing, it's not really ideal. I guess you could do even smaller. Obviously the smaller you make it, the less it really matters, but I kind of wanted to keep it like this. I think it will look nice. So I'm gonna take this color here, smoke gray, and then I will make it slightly brighter, I think. That was way too bright. Also, it should be metal. Now it's no longer too bright. Awesome. There we go. And this door will also obviously have 2 different directions. So it can be open as well. There we go. Now I group it. Move it in like that. Or maybe the door should be closed. Yeah, the door should be closed. You know, door's closed. No people allowed in here. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. We move in like that. So we move it in so that the door itself will be on the inside of the door frame. To, as always, allow the shadows to do the detailing. Now we simply take yeah, sure. Who cares at this point? There we go. We flip it. Now we move it. Wait, it doesn't even matter. I don't need to do that. I can simply just do this. Save myself some more parts. Oh. Move it all the way down like that. Make it dark. We can make it just smooth plastic. The bottom here should have slight height differences. Like that. This is not a good door. It's a bad door. It allows a lot of wind to get in. Let's just try, for the sake of it, to make the scale 1.125. Will that work? No, that's a little bit too big. 1.150 maybe? I would like it to try and like fill out the sides a tiny bit. And I think that might actually work. I have to adjust this one though, which I quite liked because it was like so steep. So I'm gonna do this. Oops. It's the issue you end up with if you work on such a small increment. There we go. Nice. Also, now it's even more obvious that it's not perfectly centered. Let's see, it'll fix it like that. Is that good enough? I'm kind of YOLOing it right now because I kind of like the fact that it isn't perfectly centered, but at the same time I don't. I have what we like to say beslutsångest in Swedish. Alright, so now we'll have to secure this door to the wall. So yeah, some kind of a hinge. There we go. And now we move it out and we make this thing a cylinder. And of course, just like always, it is positioned in the wrong direction. So make this zipper free. And with that, I think that this build might be finished. I'm gonna take a look. If there's anything's missing. Oh, of course, I should probably fix that up as well. Come on now, handles go away. Don't block my view. Now I need to adjust these things at the bottom again. Like that. Awesome. Alright then. And I guess that is one build complete. Unless there are anything around here somewhere that I'm... Okay, of course there's... Wait a second, if I adjust it on this side, will it mess it up on this? Why do I keep working on like these awkward small increments? You at least I can fix. And you. Is this lined up? What is that for a part? Oh wait, that isn't the part, that's just a hole in the wall. I was so confused, like, what? It doesn't look like that, does it? There we go. Okay, now that is fixed. Let's take another look around, see if I can find any kind of like a slight issue I've done. It looks good, it looks good. A slight little issue here. Yeah, I think it is done. And there are no issues anywhere, as far as I can tell. Nope, that looks good. Alright then, it's complete. Let's group this thing. Position it so it's actually touching the ground. Apparently it likes to hover. Let's see why. Also, oh my god, I accidentally opened. Oh my god, that's really loud. I want to restart studio. Let's see here. Apparently that will be the last edit to build. Let's see, what is the height difference? Oh, that's a really awkward value. So let's go with our trusty 5.079. Now 5.386. Okay, 0.307. There you go. Touchdown. Alright then, this build is officially complete, and this would be the end of this tutorial. If you watched the entire thing, well, I hope you learned something from my rambling. But if not, I hope you at least enjoyed the rambling, because it was pretty awful. No, but jokes aside, if you would like to see anything else like that I would build and like show you how to do it, then by all means feel free to leave a comment and I will read that and I will consider it. I don't promise that I will make anything that you suggest. I might not even have time for it, and it might take quite some time until I make a new video, but with this one at least, this build is done.